Welcome to Truth and Transcendence. I'm Catherine Llewellyn, and you can find all our episodes on truthandtranscendence.com. And my special guest today is Antony Sammeroff, who is coming back on the show for the third time because he is very, very good value and a wonderful guest. Today, we're going to talk about Antony's fairly recent thing he started doing, which is bodywork. Antony Sammeroff, also known as Master of Time, Space, and the Universe, is a psychotherapist, bodyworker, writer, and international speaker, noted for his punchy, humorous style and ability to fuse things together from psychology, philosophy, and economics into a coherent worldview that cuts through the BS.
And I'm going to have to live up to that introduction now, Catherine. I better be funny. I better exhibit my punchy style.
That's right.
Yeah.
You've only got to hold it together for about 40 minutes, Antony.
Oh, okay.
And then you can just revert back to just being a normal human being like this.
Oh, no. Then I need to go back to being master of time, space, and the universe. What are you talking about?
Of course, silly me. So,
No. It's a lot of responsibility.
You can find Antony on beyourselfandloveit.com, which I'll remind you of later in the show. So, Antony, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
We're completing a trilogy. Yeah, that's it. Third installment. It's just like Star Wars.
Except more relaxed. You know, we don't have to be in the depths of freezing space all the time, wearing uncomfortable outfits.
Okay. Yes, yeah, it's good to be in comfort. And I feel very comfortable in your company. So especially after so many conversations, maybe the audience is getting to know me a little bit as well.
Absolutely right. Yes, and I've been on your show, which was great fun as well.
So that means that means it's a quadrilogy if you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a shame people don't buy DVDs anymore. Otherwise, we could make a box set.
And what's in your legacy, Antony and Catherine? Well, we did a quadrilogy of conversations where we were talking about pretty much what we felt like talking about at the time.
It's just as well that the things that we feel like talking about are interesting.
Yeah.
People.
Antony, your sound is going in and out. So
What's it? That's very irritating. I wonder why that is.
I can hear you now perfectly. So
Okay. I just gave it a little push. That's a shame because I can assure everyone at home anything that was blanked out was of the highest caliber of genius. So if I said anything idiotic, that was just the stuff that you actually caught on the microphone. All the stuff that you didn't catch was the good stuff. Anyway, so where do we begin?
Bodywork, Antony. I mean, I already knew that you had a body.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But
and I also had to work a lot.
you also had to work a lot. So, how did you get into doing bodywork and why?
Yeah, it's actually completely bizarre. Right. When I was a kid, I really never understood why I couldn't run for tall without getting out of breath instantly. And I had these like really tight hamstrings, which I never knew any about. Um, right. Preface this: there is zero. There was not a single part of me that was interested in bodywork, and being one. In fact, if someone said that they were a masseuse or something like that, I'd think, oh, that must be awfully boring. This is not boring. I'm learning I've learned so much, and I continue to learn so much from everyone I work on. Um, However, prior to that, I'd been in over 6 months in yoga retreats in India trying to sort out my tight body. Um, as I went through my own self-help journey, I tried a lot of things, once I went to a chiropractor in my mid-20s and Results were modest. There was a lot of money for not much. Um, I tried an osteopath. Um, when I was in Costa Rica, I met a guy that was a Thai masseuse, and he did a couple on me, and that was felt quite helpful. I would still say love Thai massage, and but it didn't change me. And then I met a guy that was a craniosacral therapist, and he did a few, and one or two of those craniosacral therapy sessions I had were pretty mind blowing at the time. But I still had all these things going on. My shoulders were too far forward, which I found out in India. I'd seen so many physiotherapists in so many different countries. Again, a physiotherapist in India, I thought she was a genius. My spine would be protruding out my back, and then whenever I was up there, he would work on me a couple of times a week for a few weeks, and then my spine would be back where it should be, and then it would gradually degenerate back to where it was. And next time I was in India, I guess I got her to look at it again, and I just accepted that it might be a short-term treatment. But short term is better than nothing. Um, in Delaware, at one point, I even lost the use of my voice for 2 years. I've never gone into this in such detail. It wasn't completely, but it was like some days I was like, I'm not sure if I can go out and see my friends tonight because if I speak a lot tonight, I won't have the voice to work tomorrow. So a doctor in Delaware took me out to see a friend of mine that's a doctor, very senior physiotherapist who's made contributions to the field and everything. And he said the exercises that I'd been given to try and straighten my shoulders out were one size fits all, and they would work for a lot of people, but he didn't reckon they'd work for me because my body was just like that. And so many specialists. What I didn't, I guess, maybe the universe had a plan and needed to send me to all these different specialists, so I just get one piece of the jigsaw puzzle for each of them. By the time it came to a couple of years ago, I was working on this remarkable book, Big Pharma, I guess it quacks like a duck. I hear the author is a real genius. Um,
Any
and I
listeners
was
who missed that, that's Anthony's book.
Big Pharma, I guess it quacks like a duck. I have it on good authority. It's very insightful as well as hilarious.
It is.
So I was working away the book and I had repetitive strain injury and some days it was so bad I was scared to pick up my phone. And um I was trying to ignore it. I was kind of going, I'll sort it out when the book's finished. I went to a physiotherapist and he just gave me a ball to squeeze and said, use it less. And I was like, well, if I use it less, I don't have a life. I'm a musician. I'm a writer. What are you talking about? And my voice is gone. So I'm really going to be uh, screwed with a capital F, right? I was luckily um, went to this this conference to speak about Big Pharma in Mexico, the Holistic Health Conference, and I was a speaker. And the speaker above before me was a body worker. And I was just preparing for my talk, so I couldn't really focus on what she was saying. But I said to my partner, "Oh, she's a role model." And what I meant was I was talking about the pharmaceutical industry, but her organization was actually providing people with solutions, and she had lots of case studies. And it was like, and I never realized when I said that what it was going to actually unfurl because I was not even going to go to her for a bodywork session because I'd seen so many specialists, raw thing, creative psychotherapy, time massage. I've spent so much money on this stuff, especially chiropractors. So I didn't think it was going to be anything that I hadn't experienced before. But then a couple of people were going around going, "Oh, have you seen Baudrey Fraser? Oh, she's incredible." I was like, well, if, a couple of people have said that, um, it's probably go, you know. It may have happened. It happened at least twice, maybe three times. So, maybe four. So I needed to go, and it was like I was transported into a alternative universe. He's working on my toes, and I've got feeling releases going all the way up my back, all the way up my spine, and she's playing this shamanic music, and I feel like, I'm on some kind of medicine journey. I felt like, oh, my whole life has led to this moment, so I can finally heal all this karmas that's existed since I was a kid. Since I was born, the umbilical cord was wrapped around my throat, which I'm attributing some of these issues to, because as I'm developing the teaching, I brought this teaching into her course last time I came on as an instructor, and it starts saying, when you suffer a trauma, the body reacts, but it doesn't unreact. So if you look at the way that my body was shaped, with the shoulders being too far forward and my legs being really tight, I was kind of like in a fetal position, but standing up. So I think what happened was the umbilical cord went around the throat. I, which is not that uncommon, but how everyone responds to it different. I passed out. I mean, my body squeezed together really tight. This is my hypothesis. And then it kind of kept that holding pattern because it hadn't been reversed. So, boom, she's discharging the tension all the way up my legs, up my back. Massive difference in my wrists. First session. Not all 100% gone, but I was like, oh, it's easy to hold my phone now. Back to my partner, oh, you've got to get a session. Well, I need another one too. And it was hard to get her for a second session because she was fully booked to the conference, but because there was a speaker, she fit both of us in back to back afterwards at her Airbnb before she left. And then, again, absolutely mind blowing for me. My partner had a hockey injury at school 15 years prior. And so she gets up off the table, walks around, thinks something's funny, and she realized that was the first time she'd been without back pain for 15 years.
Wow.
Now, she even went to university to study physiotherapy and left after a couple of years before completing it for personal reasons, sterile to the course. But she got her own placement. She'd worked as a physiotherapist, and she was like, we were not getting results. Anything in the region, anything in the same solar system as what she's doing um, within the mainstream system. And I know because I've seen a bunch of physiotherapists. Um, and so she stayed pain-free in the back for 4.5 months despite driving a truck for a living. 4.5 months that lasted one session. I stuck around in Mexico, went for another, who knows, 6, 8 sessions. And I went from thinking, whatever she's doing is really interesting, but I couldn't see myself doing it, to going, if I don't learn how to do this, I'd be an effing idiot. So now I'm not only did I learn to do it, I then taught on the following course, and I guess I'm the representation, the leading representative of the methods here in the UK. So yeah, my partner did the course as well, but she's still got her other job, so she does a little bit, and she's very talented at it. I feel like I had to work more to get it than she did, because she's naturally talented. But I just, like with most things I do, if I'm going to do something, I usually overdo it and get really into it. So I managed to get my reps in, and similar results to what I received, and I'm not saying that I could do it as quickly as Baudrey does, but wrists, elbows, shoulders. I'm really confident with arm stuff. Lots of people with hip problems, that takes a little bit longer, a few more sessions. A lot of people get results first session, see a big difference in one session. It's amazing that way. A lot of people travel a lot, and then just tell them to stay overnight and get 2 sessions. Um, and then it's been amazing. Yeah, done some festivals in England, done some festivals in the USA, um, done conferences in Mexico. Did the same conference that I met her at as a practice when we were speakers, practitioners. Went back, and yeah, and I guess my life took an unexpected gear change. Thank you, everyone, for listening to my extended autobiography.
Thank you. Well, we know that's only part of your autobiography, Anthony. Actually, there are 2 other episodes with Anthony which you can find on the show very easily, and they are both excellent. So you'll get more of the actual backstory from those. So I really get from what you're saying that this was like a revelatory experience, that something happened that had never happened before.
Yeah.
Can you share a bit about how does that happen in this particular?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Why is it why is it such a well-kept secret if it's so effective? Results are um unmatched in my experience. And I've gone all over the world trying to sort. I spent months on yoga retreats try and didn't get as much as I got from a few sessions of this. So something there's obviously some domino pieces missing. And it works on the principle that tension in the body runs in predictable um patterns. Right. If you look at the human body, the thing is, I've kind of added some stuff, some theory to what Audrey's doing because not just because I come from psychotherapy and trauma background. I think part of what we're doing is actually discharging the flight, or freeze response from the muscles. But just because I felt really de-skilled coming into this new field. So I'm listening to other people on YouTube and things like that on podcasts and understanding and bringing additional understanding from outside to it, to the method. So the body always works, moves in arcs. If you look at a normal physiology textbook, it'll tell you that this muscle opposes this muscle. One pushes, one pulls. One pushes when the other pulls, one pulls when the other pushes. But the body never moves in an isolated way like that at any time. It always moves in a train of muscles. It always moves in arcs. So we don't just treat the site of injury, we treat the entire arc, so to speak. So if you've got shoulder pain, depending on where it is, if it's in the back of the shoulder, the first place I want to look is your pinky. If it's here in the front of your shoulder, I'm looking at your thumb. Now, um, there's a lot of people have pain at the side of their neck and the back of the shoulder, and like it's so interesting because it's so predictable. This method is so scientific, even though no one's made anything like systematized it into something scientific and objective. The observations are very consistent. What I find is people have these rigid pinkies. The joints don't move laterally and they're just really stiff, or maybe they point out the way or something like that. And the interesting thing is, if you just walk around with a stiff pinky like this, you will notice that you can test it on yourself. You get tension all the way up the forearm. You can feel it kind of here on the elbow. If someone's got their feet are like pointed out the way slightly, if they've got duck feet, you can feel around the front, certain parts of the shins, the interior of the knees. You can observe what their patterns of tension will be because you can sort of demonstrate it in your own body. So that's a big one that I treat a lot. Um, side side of the neck, shoulder pain. I guess I got a bit of a reputation as a shoulder mechanic, so lots of people come to me from shoulders and tennis and golf elbow as well. And it's all starting in the fingers. And then even if it's something that was injured where the fingers aren't involved, it seems like if you start to get the muscles to discharge in the fingers and work on the hand, then you can get a much bigger discharge of chronic tension from the forearm. And um, you know, people will have tenderness here in the forearm, and if you squeeze it, they'll go, oh well, of course that's going to hurt because you're squeezing it, and it's like, no, no, just wait a minute, and then I intervene and get get the tension to discharge, and then go put the same amount of pressure in, and they're like, oh, it doesn't hurt anymore. Yeah, because it's not normal. What you've got there is chronic tension. The muscles have got tense, and the fascia has become uh sort of tightly packed and dehydrated, and then above the elbow. So rather than just go, well, I've got pain in my shoulder, and you're kind of like looking at the whole band of muscles involved in that shoulder. And the same would be for if someone had hip pain, but just starting on the legs and things like that. And I really think that's what makes it so effective. It's just got a missing piece of the puzzle. Mm, you know, chiropractors, physiotherapists, osteopaths, etc. They know tons of stuff that I don't know and will never know. And when people come in and say my osteopath said this or whatever, I'm always listening. I'm always taking it in and gaining that extra information. So I've got more of a background in their case. I'm always willing to learn from others. But obviously, we've got a little piece of the puzzle that they don't have, which is not trivial. It's critical because I'm just delivering results on people who've spent shed loads of money on chiropractors and not got anywhere, and they're able to get something from me. And I'm a fucking idiot, Catherine. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when it comes, this is the first job that I've done which is physical and in the world in the same way that being a construction worker or something like that is. Everything I've ever done before with the profession has been conceptual, including being a piano tutor, which was a bit more about manipulating objects, but still very conceptual. You explain the theory behind the music. You teach people how to read. You explain how music works, right? I've been a counselor, psychotherapist, and you know, um, writer, theatre critic, all academic, all in the realms of mind. And I'm coming into this in the right period of my life where I just need to become a bit more objective and focus more on what's happening in the world around me and maybe a little bit less spacey.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, extraordinary transition. And the other thing that really strikes me is that all the other things that you were doing before are all very, very interesting. And you made a huge contribution with these other things, like the economics work,
Yeah.
the psychology work, coaching, mentoring, all sorts of work you've done, and writing, of course,
Well,
has been really contributive, and yet this shows up and you feel it calls you, that it's worthy of your attention. So that's
yeah, and I'm
interesting. It's not like your life was meaningless before.
that's true. Yeah, I've learned a lot and this is a different kind of learning from what I've learned before. And um yeah, it all came together. I mean, when after I did the course and I became really good friends with Audrey and her partner, you know, we were already becoming friends before that, we got along really well. Um I didn't really think we were similar when we first met because she's so assertive. Um, but the more I've got to know her, the more I see we're kind of similar in that way that we're both very fastidious. We both give a lot, and uh, well, we're both team players essentially who've been forced by circumstances of life to do more things on our own than in a team. So I think that's why when we kind of met in some way, it was a divine moment in the making that I wasn't even aware of because first thing I did was say, I'll rewrite the manual for the next course because I've got those writing skills. And there was a whole bunch of stuff that I wanted to be in there that wasn't. So I added counseling skills for practitioners, trauma in the understanding how trauma affects the body from all the stuff that I'd learned previously. And then, on the course, she's like, okay, well, today can we do your counseling skills for practice? I didn't know that I'd be teaching these things on the course. I just put them in the manual. So I got to do everything, counseling skills for practitioners, trauma in the body, and detoxification of the body, which is something that I had to study to reverse my own diseases. Breath work, as pranayama, I prefer to call it, which I studied to become a pranayama teacher in India because I was in India, so I might as well have got, learned how to be a breathwork teacher. Why not? You know, but everything I'd ever learned in my life suddenly came fully into focus when I was on that course because I got to teach all of it. Whereas prior to that, I was thinking, why have why did I study so many things and then not end up doing anything with them? Well, I guess I found out on that course because everything had a place. So I did very much when you said calling, it seems like I was kind of led into it. To be honest, most of the things I've done in my life, I was kind of led into by the nose. I'm just trying to follow my own healing journey and things just emerged and it was like, oh, that makes sense. I'll do this, I'll do that. And I just kind of followed my nose and somehow it's definitely been one of the things I love more than anything else is learning. So I've got to learn a lot of different things in my life.
Amazing. I love it. And I love how all those things came into the course. So that
Mhm.
there's now essence of Sammeroff in there as well, kind of
Yeah.
coming into it as well. And the thing you said about the chronic tension in the body
Mhm.
that people are experiencing, the question that came to my mind is, do you think that that is a particular symptom of our times? You know, do you feel like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So basically, if you were living in an indigenous culture and had a natural body, would this happen? No one really knows what a natural body is. It's a concept, but we do know some things. In indigenous cultures, they squat and they can work squatting, and they work above their heads, doing a roof, picking fruit off trees, doing all sorts of stuff above their head. And we don't do those things and we lose those capacities. Our muscles shorten, our range of motion. Another thing is, a lot of the time, say like in India, they sit cross-legged while they eat, whereas we sit on chairs, which shortens your hamstrings. And it's really silly because, we say the children are in the future and we send them to public schools, but at no point did anyone go, right, well, since the kids are the future, what does best information possible say about how to cultivate good children? Well, one thing is we shouldn't have them sit down on chairs and get habituated to that, you know. Maybe we should get them to sit cross-legged and maybe they should run around more. Um, so there's some things. So one thing that people at home should do is don't have everything level. Don't have your tea beside the kettle and everything at eye level. Put your cereal boxes up above the cupboard so you have to go and reach for them, and put your potatoes in a cupboard down low so you have to bend over to pick them up. And that's a good way to make sure that you stay active. If you don't want to be in a position where you need help getting off the toilet when you're older, which is an undignifying affair, get squatting. It's so simple as that. So those are some answers to if this is a symptom of our society to a degree. However, it's somewhat speculative. If whenever you get startled or stressed and you start to tighten up and punch forward, you kind of get in the fight or flight mechanism, or you get startled, um, you tighten up. What if every single time that happened, you relax again, but you let's say you relax 99.5% and 0.5% of the tension stays. Over the years, you're going to gather tension. And also we live in a society where people only go and seek help when they get sick. So people say, oh, I've got lower back pain and it's manageable. Well, you could be up to 70 or even 60% of normal function before you even feel pain. That's what a chiropractor told me in my early 20s. Um, so when you're starting to feel pain, it comes and it goes, and then it comes and it goes, and you think it's not too bad. And then one day it comes and it doesn't go, and then you've got it at a low level, and gradually it gets worse. If we had a sane society, we'd deal with it long before then. I mean, I think of my own time at school, like how come no one told me any of these things about my body? How come it wasn't until I was in my 30s and went to India, some physio told me that my shoulders were too far forward, or was it the chiropractor? No, that he said, you know that. When I said, oh yeah, I know my shoulders are too far forward. My arms only went up so high. Now they can go a bit higher than that. Like, why did they send me to play rugby? I mean, look at me. I'm 5'3" for fuck's sake. Um, and I was shorter than that when I was a kid. Uh, surely they could go, right, look, these guys are like overweight, so we need one type of pee specifically for them. This weedy guy is like, he's got what's going on there. He's got really tight hamstrings. There's something weird there. Maybe we can just take these kids who are not athletic for stretching, and those kids who are athletic, they can play rugby and football if they want. You know what I mean? Why are we in the dark ages here? Which is ridiculous. Like, so it just made me hate PE. Like, there could have been PE that I would have liked at that age. I remember in my early 20s, or no, late 20s, my mum took me to like this exercise class, because this is before I'd even gone to India or somewhere in the middle. And it was like just for old people. And I was like, this is about at my capacity, plus 4 steps to the left, 4 steps to the right, raise your arms with like little barbells in them. Like, you think that's what they do at school? Go like, what's your capacity for using your body, and can we encourage you to find a fun way to do that?
Yeah.
No. It's so it's madness, really, where we are. So here I am again trying to make a contribution to make it less mad.
Yeah, absolutely. You just reminded me when I was at school and we had the hockey pitch was lower, much lower down than the level where
Right.
the school was built. So
Hmm.
you had to go down a slope to get to it. And then you had to come up this slope, which invariably was muddy. And someone had the bright idea of putting steps all the way up.
Yeah.
But of course, the steps were just exactly the wrong dimensions. So they were not a foot deep, a footstep deep or 2 footsteps deep. They were like 1.5 footsteps deep. And we were expected to run up this after playing hockey. And it was just torture and no benefit. And you were covered in mud at the top. And then they were surprised at people finding ways of getting out of
Right.
an exercise.
Yeah. What happened was me and a couple of the kids that were obviously not suited to rugby just conveniently forgot our PE kit every week, and the teachers turned a blind eye to it because they knew that we didn't have the capacity to play rugby. Why didn't they send us for something that was suitable for us? It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then like, I mean, you were asking about, then there's like the cult of muscle, which is, don't get me wrong, it's not bad to be, you don't want to be weak. You don't want to be like I was with an underdeveloped chest, and, you know, uh, but it's like, first of all, when people think of fitness, what do they think of doing? What? Building muscle, right? So, but then a lot of the time people have an injury, or sorry, basically, if all you do is build muscle and you don't do expansive movements, which is stretching and yoga. Pilates is not yoga. I'm not against Pilates; it's a good workout, but it's not this. It's not all about expansive movement. So, stretching and yoga, basically, your muscles will shorten. And then all these guys, so many of the guys that were bodybuilders have got so many physical problems that in their 40s they're getting into yoga and stuff like that. Just try to redo the damage. Why didn't you get it? And why didn't you get it into it earlier when you were building all that muscle and overdoing it because you thought, that's not tough or whatever. So the fascia gets tightly packed together and dehydrated, and you've got problems. And then the whole field of physiotherapy is built on the ethos of the fitness industry. So that means that they're members of the cult of muscle as well. So when someone has an injury in certain circumstances, they're going to teach you how to build muscle to regain stability, to push your body into what appears to be a healthy position. And that might work for a while. But what you've done is just built muscle on top of damaged fascia, and the injury's still there. So you're going to revert at some point to being in pain. You just built muscle on top of the injury instead of addressing the injury. And then, as happened to me, true story, this is probably what led to me becoming a body worker. Ridiculous things like this happening to me. So I'm trying to get fit, in my sometime in my 30s. I've gone to the yoga retreats, and that's been helping me. And friends convinced me to go to the gym, and I'm still trying to fix some of these problems. and the physio tells me to start pulling to help because I'm like, I know that my spine's like that and it shouldn't be. I want it to be erect. So it's go to the gym and pull. So I start pulling, and one day a friend of mine who used to be a personal trainer says, I don't think there's enough weight in that. Puts it up, so I pull. Next 4 or 5 days, I've got pain in my wrist so bad I can't type. I can't work on my boot. So I'm like, again, SHITTING myself, because I'm like, look, here I am trying to do something good for myself. I'm trying to correct my spine, but doing the exercises I've been asked to do to correct my spine is damaging my wrists. It's so scary. Like, it's like, what am I meant to do? How am I ever going to get out of this? This is just going, you know, after all this work, by the time I met Baudry, I'd got worse, I hadn't got better. So, I mean, how disillusioning can you get trying to do something good for yourself to correct yourself and coming away with worse? Unfortunately, it's unreasonably common because what physiotherapy was the fit. Sorry, I feel like I've been talking for so long. It's just because I'm trying to get to the point, which was this is all about sport. The fitness industry is about sport. Sport came from war. So the idea is in war, if you, at least competitive sport, right? If you get an injury, we need to like whip you into shape. You need to be stronger so you can go and fight the enemy. You know what I mean? And if you get an injury, we need to whip you back into shape so that you can get out and start fighting again. Then we get sport, which is training, channeling all that masculine energy into something a little bit more entertaining and less killing people involved. Right. If when you come off that sports field and you injured your ankle, I mean, you've got to go out and play again as soon as possible because you're all about, rugby or whatever it is. Your head's not meant to be a battering ram, but that's what you treat it as. And like, how do we get you back on that field as quickly as possible? Nowadays, people are more aware, but if you ask your parents, grandparents, great grandparents, they'll say, yeah, we just got up and played again, right? And that's what physiotherapy is based on. So that ought to excel at war and sport, you need to be part of the cult of muscle. And physiotherapy came out of sports industry, where it's apparently a good thing to go and push yourself to the absolute fucking limits, regardless of what the long-term quality and the long-term consequences on your quality of life will be. So that's maybe why we don't have answers yet, because we're looking in the wrong places.
Yeah, I think you're right. And there's also the last resort option of, okay, you can get a new knee, you can get a new
Right.
hip,
Yeah.
be fixed. I had an issue after I'd finished sorting out my house, the house I moved into. For 5 months, I didn't do any exercise or stretching or anything. Surprise, surprise, at the end, my knees were in trouble and I had lower back pain and hip pain. I couldn't bend one of my knees at all. And people said, oh, it's probably arthritis. And I went, no, I don't think so. And they went, no, you're getting older now, it's arthritis. Or just get a new knee. And I thought, no, I don't accept that. And
No.
I did a lot of yoga. I had
Mhm.
Chinese massage and acupuncture
Very good.
sorted out. But I could have, the pressure and the general agreement around me was, oh, that's inevitable. The only
Yeah,
thing now is, when are you going to have the knee replacement?
absolutely no. Yeah, many times Baudry's averted people needing hip replacements and things like that. And I guess in the future I will too. But coming back to the big pharma thing, which you haven't, I have a copy of the phenomenal book Big Pharma, I guess it quacks like a duck.
It will be in the show notes.
Yeah. If you yeah. It's a good book, it's entertaining and it's very informative and it might help you avoid decisions that will make you sicker.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell is what does arthritis mean? That's just Latin for inflammation in the joints, right? So one guy's got inflammation in the joints because they're nutrition deficient and they need collagen. Another person, it's toxic and the residues of the toxin are collecting in his joints, wearing away at his tissues. Someone else had an injury, someone suffered a trauma, another person has got arthritis in their knees because they had an event in their life where they felt very stymied, and the legs represent moving forward in life, so it's manifested psychologically in their knees. And a sixth person has chronic muscle and fascia tension, which is not allowing proper blood flow to the knee, and that is causing inflammation. Right. Those were 6 different diseases, but the doctors are so intelligent, and they've given all 6 of those diseases the same name, arthritis. And that's why we get nowhere in the medical industry. The medical industry cured a single one of the chronic metabolic or autoimmune diseases that we are likely to suffer from in our lifetime. And someone will come and tell you, I've got fibromyalgia. What does fibromyalgia mean? It means pain in the muscle fibers, right? So if you come into the doctor and you say, hey, doctor, I'm really achy. And the doctor says, I know what that is. You've got pain in the muscle fibers. You'd be like, yeah, thank you. I know that. And that's why I came in to see you. But if he just tells you that in Latin and says you've got fibromyalgia, oh, the wonders of modern medical science. Now I know what my disease is. You've given me a name for it, right? The point is not what the name, he's just named your symptoms. The question is what's causing the fibromyalgia. And that's the same with all these Latin names. Eczema just means rash. So come and go, I've got this rash in the back of my knees, and the doctor says, I know what that is, you've got rash. That's what eczema means in Latin. So it's just a ruse. Don't best avoid
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
if you can.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're doing great, excellent work. Where do you think you might go with this? Will there be a book about bodywork, do you think?
Well, that's a good. I'm not really sure about doing about body work, uh, but I am kind of writing little pieces that might go out of my Substack and eventually come a booklet called Trauma in the Body, and that would be more drawing upon the stuff that I wrote for the manual with other stuff that I've learned throughout my life about how trauma affects the body as well as the psyche and what can be done about it. And I feel like that is a body of knowledge that it would be good to collect all in one place together.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Because, I think another thing is a lot of people experience a lot of pressure and stress to do with, looking at screens or trying to do too much or too much stimulus. That a number of sort of modern day first world problems that people experience, which obviously go into the body. And it sounds like this treatment protocol you're doing is probably very helpful with those sorts of things as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's changed my life, and now I'm using it to change other people's lives. So it's just getting the reps, and like I'm so much more confident with treatment now, obviously, because I've seen so many more bodies than, whenever last month, the month before, the month before. And the more I see how it all fits together. And I'm lucky because the reason why I trained in it was because it was like, damn, that delivers results. I thought it'd be very easy to get client because it was so effective. I realized that not everyone is like me. And as soon as they find something effective, they're like, sign me up, I want some more. Let me tell everyone that I know. So it took longer than I thought, but it's picked up, and um, I've got plenty of inquiries, and it's great, and I love seeing I'm making a difference, and I like the volume of work because I'm getting more experience, and I'm putting it all together in my head. So I don't know if I ever managed to, or if I was to do a book on bodywork, it would certainly be a lot of years hence. There's plenty of stuff to learn still. But I did say to Baudry when I was rewriting the course, right, here's a bunch of stuff that I need you to write sections on because from my perspective, conspicuously absent from the manual now. So you never know. Maybe help her write her book one day or something like that.
Fantastic. I love it. And also, it sounds like a very good antidote for the big pharma issue as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's given me something that instead of just complaining, I can offer real solutions to people. I mean, I'm still doing some counseling and coaching for people in the libertarian community. And just on but after 12, 13 years, I like that um just being able to take people on the basis of it's a compelling case and I really think I can help that person rather than it be my job. So, because now this is my Bodywork's the most hours at the moment, and just recently I felt like, yeah, I've taken on a couple of people for counseling or coaching, and if people want to filter through, then when if I really think I can help them, and then I'm happy to take them on, and that's a much better basis. Um, so it's been good. It's just been following the breadcrumbs back home, Catherine.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. Well, something I notice is when my body is relaxed and the energy is flowing and everything else, all the other aspects of my life work so much better.
Yeah,
And my need to consume or comfort myself is greatly reduced. So my finances improve. There's a direct
yeah,
relationship, and the quality of my work improves. I'm happier. So I'm a great believer in the importance of body work for
absolutely.
all the reasons that you've said and so many other reasons. So I think it's very exciting what you're doing, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. I mean, each time you come on, we're highlighting something different,
Oh,
but
that's very good of you.
everything's kind of building from everything else.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's almost like there was a jigsaw. There's a picture on the jigsaw box, but you've just lost the jigsaw box. And you're just going around picking up pieces and putting them together. And I try and synthesize everything I've learned because that's how you have a unique voice in that world. So don't just speak conceptually of stuff that you've read in books, but fuse it with your own personal experience and then you make it your own. Um, and yeah, I mean, always knew I wanted to have some kind of job helping people. I don't think I could have worked for Coca-Cola or McDonald's or something like that. So I've kind of just been motivated by, what helps. Like, and if I came across anything I thought was helpful, I tried to learn it myself and share it.
Yeah.
And the only reason why, maybe if I had gone to I really like craniosacral therapy and Thai massage. I don't think I would have had the physical might to do Thai massage at the time. Maybe if I keep on getting more sessions. Um, but like craniosacral therapy, I just couldn't see myself doing it. Whereas this is a little bit no pain, no gain. And I love that it offered such fast results. There's an element of the fact that it's painful, which makes it ritual or a baptism of fire, and you really feel like you earn healing that you get. I sometimes say, when's the price you pay for healing quickly? Maybe you would get this same amount of benefit if you went to Thailand and got a Thai massage every single day. It might take weeks or months. And so we just do that in 12 hours, and it's painful, but within the client's tolerance level. The client's always in charge of how much pain. And then you feel like if you got better, you earned it. So there's an element of the coaching and being there for people and negotiating with them, getting it to just their level and being present to that and helping them work through the pain, encouraging them that maybe appeals to me because I found it excruciating. But I just kept on going back for more because it was so helpful. And I was like, there's this concept in the yoga literature that what Shiva can do, if you're very lucky, is he will touch you. And in that one instant when he touches you, it will be the most excruciating suffering you've ever experienced, but it will burn up lifetimes of bad karmas from that one touching you. And it's a very merciful thing to do. It was excruciatingly painful, but boom, you're a changed person. I feel like maybe there's just a little bit of Shiva in me, and helping people transform, you know,
I've no doubt.
facing the. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this with us, Anthony. It's just amazing work that you're doing. Um, I now have to try and think of a way of getting you down to mid Wales
Oh yeah.
to give a talk or something, or
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd love that. If you've got enough people, then and they want sessions, then it's easy enough to do because if if people can pitch in by I'd love to come down if I've got a couple of days work that will cover my costs and it'll be amazing to see you. So I'd love to do the talk. I do a talk called Trauma in the Body and it's slightly different every time I do it. So I'd love to do that. Yeah.
fantastic. Well, let's make that happen in 2026. That would be just fantastic. And I could do with a good body treatment. I was very lucky.
Yeah.
My father was an osteopath, and so I had my first
Oh
osteopath
yeah, I mean,
massage when I was
mentioning that.
probably 4, and he was teaching me basic massage techniques on him when I was 9. So I've always
Amazing.
had the benefit of that element in my life, which I'm so grateful for, so profoundly grateful for. So I think
Yeah,
everyone,
amazing.
um, tune into your body, notice
Mm,
what it's doing, and don't just assume that everything that's happening in it is inevitable. If you're getting older, we don't have to be falling apart physically necessarily as we're getting older.
no, that's the myth. But they like that because then the only thing you can do is take pharmaceutical drugs or get surgery. I feel like I know that what, I I barely got to hear from you today, Catherine. I feel like I'm such a big blabbermouth.
All right, well, I'm going to
So we'll
keep.
just need to speak again more often. Yeah.
You'll need to speak again more often. Have me back on your show when your show is happening.
It's off hiatus. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I just felt like, no, I feel like I've actually said quite a lot because I've got a really strong connection with body work, not this specific modality that you're involved with, but for me it's a very present and important thing. And of course the dance work that I do is another beautiful way of addressing and freeing up tension. And I loved what you said about the fight or flight being trapped in the muscle,
Mhm.
and that part of what you're doing with this particular protocol is releasing that,
Yeah.
letting that
Absolutely.
release out of the body.
Absolutely.
Very
People have emotional releases. Yeah.
Yeah. And also the thing about you said, when you get a tension or a trauma in the body, yes, you recover from it, but not necessarily 100%. And those
Yeah. And
incremental bits, a bit like compound
yeah.
stress.
Yeah. You become slightly tighter, just a tiny bit. And then that appears normal to you. So your body moves in that way with that level of tension. So people say, "Oh yeah, I've got pain in my hand, but I use my phone too much." Like, I believe you do, but there was a time where you used your phone just as much as you do now, and it didn't hurt. So what changed between then and now? Well, you slightly got a bit more tense, and then slightly a bit more tense, and then slightly a bit more tense, and now curling your fingers in towards your palm hurts more than it used to. And we discharge that tension. The earlier we discharge it, the less the better. The sooner we discharge it, the better.
Yeah.
Because then it won't enter deeper and deeper and deeper levels, which will be harder to reverse.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. So, Anthony, before we finish, there's a couple of quick questions I'd like to ask you. So, um, one of them is this question, which I asked you before. There's a lot of people in the world trying to be part of the solution. They might be leaders, they might be parents, they might be writers. They're trying to do their best to help other people. Is there something you'd like to say to them in relationship to some of what we've been talking about today?
Yeah, but the all cliches apply. Put your own oxygen mask on first. Make sure you've got good relationships, self-care. I mean, one needs to look at their own capacities and see what, what's good for what. I didn't think I was suited to being a body worker, I didn't think but I'm realizing that I had capacities and I noticed things that I didn't even know I was noticing. So what can you do? And just and whatever it is, get good at it. I mean, the thing is, I think a big something that I did wrong, which I would change if I could go back, is I tried to go out here into the internet and pull things towards me, whereas I think I should have really worked around me and put it into the internet, so to speak. So build my in-person practice more as the moment I qualified as a counselor, and then go into the internet and just share insights that I'd learned from counseling people. And then, or I love communication. Every time I had an altercation or a communication issue with my partner, go on the YouTube and say, here's what we learned from working through this problem. Yeah, rather than like kind of try and find my fortune out there on the internet, I think what I realized is life should be built from the foundation up. So that's what I've done this time around in the second cycle, or maybe it's not even the second cycle, maybe it's the X cycle. I got a new profession. I didn't go straight onto the internet and start doing podcasts. Just built my practice, got the reps in, got more experience, and now I'm beginning to do more shows talking about it. This is so and maybe it'll come to a time where, oh, here's a thing that I noticed about from this client, and go on the Instagram and make a little reel and things like that. So I just say work on these concentric circles, work on yourself, work on your relationships with the people that are closest to you. And then outward from that, outward from that, outward from that, outward from that. Don't think, oh, I need to write a book and reach 1 million people online, or 1 million podcasts and reach 1 million people. Work to um alchem distill, you know, the essence of your learning, and put that into the ether, and work and be in the real world, and then share, because it will have more power behind it.
Yeah, beautiful. And also be more nourishing.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So, Anthony, we've talked about a lot today. Has there been a favorite part of our conversation for you?
What was the best? Oh, just catching up with you, Catherine. What else? The bits where I was listening.
Thank you so much.
You,
Would you like to leave the listeners with some sort of reflection question to take away?
um, I was that prepared for this one. What's a reflection question? See, when an emotion that you find unpleasant arises, what tools do you have to nourish the part of you from which that uh, emotion, which you regard as unpleasant, arises from? Because either you're going to distract yourself, or you're going to go into extreme mental activity and overthink about it, um, or you're going to confront the sensation, the emotion directly. And when you do that, how do you heal yourself psychologically?
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anthony, it's been an absolute joy, as always. And I look forward to witnessing what happens next in this fantastic journey. Now, before I completely finish, is there anything which, in an hour's time, if you haven't said it, you will kick yourself?
Well, I mean, if you're in the UK and want some of this, you can go to realbodymechanics.com, realbodymechanics.com, or beyourselfandloveit.com if you want counseling or coaching. If you go to realbodymechanics.com, you can get a little consultation with me, a short one remotely, and I'll tell you some stuff about your body you didn't know. And if you're enthusiastic, you can come up to Scotland or find out when I'm doing a festival in England. You wouldn't be the first one to travel. So that'd be cool. To help anyone that needs the help. So
Beautiful. And I think you said earlier that sometimes someone might travel up, have a treatment, stay overnight somewhere, and
yeah,
have another treatment.
yeah, and then or even 2 nights, then it'll be worth your travel. Yeah, we'll find out what you've got going on first, and I can appropriately advise you on what would be worth your while.
Yeah. And Anthony, please remind us the name of the book that you've been holding up.
Oh, big pharma guess it quacks like a duck. If it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, I guess it's a duck.
Excellent. Thank you so much. It's been an
Do you honor me?
pleasure.
Has anyone been on the show more than 3 times?
No, you're the first.
Am I? Okay. That makes me really happy. Excellent. High quality.
In fact, you're the first person who's been on more than twice.
Oh, amazing.
But I have got someone else coming on for the third time shortly. So
Yeah,
there's a neck and neck thing going on.
Okay, well, as long as the next show, maybe you can bring both of us on at once and we'll just have an hour. Then you really won't get a word in.
That would be really interesting because you're both kind of politically and philosophically completely at the opposite ends of the scale. These two.
Oh, lovely. Oh, well, then I definitely want to do it. Okay.
That might be really interesting.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Let me fight this commie.
Well,
Just kidding.
more liberal than comedy. It's sort of, anyway.
We'll see.
So,
Yeah, we'll save it for the debate.
save it for the debate.
Okay.
Oh my God. I've now got debates in my future.
All right. Thanks for.
Just call me Jean Epstein.
Oh, that's yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You honor me by having me back on your show, and I like spending time with you.
Thank you. It's been wonderful. And thank you everyone for watching and listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening to me blab about myself. Something that I'm much more happy talking about economics, to be honest.
It's good for you.
Is it? Okay. It better be good for someone.
Exactly. So let me just tell everyone where they can find me as well, which is the podcast is on truthandtranscendence.com, and all my other stuff, my workshops and coaching and everything, are on beingspace.world. And Anthony is at Be Yourself and Love It. So thank you very much, Anthony.
Thank you.